I got it, dude. I got it. Hey guys, so as promised, Chris and I have brought you our first official poker strategy video for our YouTube channel. Today we figured the best way to start it off would be to talk about Doyle Brunson's idea of remaining as competitive as you can be. Anybody who's ever played poker before knows that it can be extremely exciting and fun to play until you get a bad streak of cards, and a lot of people don't know how to handle that. You know, poker is definitely a boring game at sometimes too, and so today we figured that we want to talk about ways to keep it interesting. So we're going to break it down into three components. We want to talk about challenging yourself, about changing gears, and about card rushes. And so we're going to go ahead and break each one down for you guys. So hope you enjoy it.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about today is this concept of challenging yourself at the table. I think the best and probably the most basic way of doing this is by observing your opponents and making predictions as to what you think they're holding. As you're sitting at a table, what you can do is you can watch your opponents play hands. Whether you're involved in the hand or not, it doesn't matter. You should be watching what they're doing, and if you should be trying to make a prediction as to what you think they're holding. And every time a hand goes to a showdown, you want to compare what you predicted they had to what they actually had. And you know, obviously, this is going to have two outcomes: either you're going to be right or you're going to be wrong. And you know, if you're wrong, it's okay, because what that does is it gives you an opportunity to figure out what you missed. You can go back. You know, online, most sites have a hand history option, and you can go back and look at the hand again and look at it step by step and see what you could have done, what you could have observed about your opponent to, you know, give yourself a clue as to what they actually had. You know, and then on the other hand, you can be right too. If you're right, then you know, this keeps the game interesting and it keeps it fun. It gives you confidence, and it gives you information to base your game off of, which is going to be very important for the next thing that we're talking about, which is changing gears.
Alright, so this second component of changing gears is actually a byproduct of what Chris was talking about earlier in observation. You know, a lot of times when you're watching how your opponents are playing, like Chris said, you'll learn the styles of play that they use. A lot of people wonder, you know, what is the most effective way to combat this strategy? And most generally the answer is it's actually just the opposite. You know, if you can imagine yourself sitting in a tournament where the majority of your table is playing tight, well, it's going to make sense to open up your range of hands and start playing looser, simply because nobody else appears to want the chips at the table. It's good to keep in mind that this comes with moderation. You don't want to start raising every single hand. Someone's going to catch on to you. Someone's bound to pick up a hand sooner or later, and if you're not careful, it can hurt your game more than it can help it. The other thing that this idea of changing gears is going to allow you to do is to create boundaries in your game. A lot of people don't understand why they play the cards that they do, or the reasons that they play them the way that they did. But you know, if you're observing the way that you're playing in relation to other people, let's say that the last 4 times you've come to a showdown against your opponents, you've had premium hands, and then on the 5th time, when you still have, you know, a premium hand like aces or kings, and they don't pay you off like you thought that they should, it might be a good indication to say to yourself that, you know, people are catching on to the way that you're playing. They've figured you for a type player now. So it would make sense to open up your range of hands in order to gain more money from your players. They're obviously giving you the rep for a type player, so you may as well use that to your advantage. That's the type of changing gears we're talking about here. It's going to be quick and it's going to be sudden, but it's as sudden as your realization that you're not making as much money at the table as you should be. Alright, so the last component to keeping you as competitive as you can be and to keep the game interesting is this idea of card rushes. Card rushes can actually occur one of two ways. The first way is by luck, which is what most people enjoy more, and the second way is what appears to be by luck. So the first way, if it actually does happen to occur by luck, these card rushes do even out in the long run. Pros experience them just as much as amateurs do, assuming they play the same amount of time. The difference is that pros know how to exploit them to their advantage better. But the best part about these is that it allows you to open up your game. It allows you to vary the way you would usually play. So you can start doing things like limping with aces, even in position to throw your opponents off, or maybe just making a call with queens or jacks or something like that in position. But the second way, and definitely the more difficult way to experience a streak of cards, is by making it appear as though you're experiencing luck. This is going to involve one or two key showdowns that will involve good cards, but your opponents will only see those showdowns. They won't see the rest of the hands that you play. So they get the impression that you are on some kind of streak of cards and that you're experiencing a lot of luck at this point, but really you're just playing your hands well and betting them in an effective way to make them think that this is the hand that you have, but really it's not. It's important to realize that the card rushes are distinguished amongst each other. There's two types, and they don't always need to involve luck. So I hope that these components have helped you guys in keeping, remaining as competitive as possible, and hopefully keeping the game a little bit more interesting than it might have been for you before.
Okay guys, so those were the three things that we thought were noteworthy of discussing when it comes to keeping yourself as competitive as possible in the poker game. Obviously there's a lot more things that we could have talked about. These are just three of them. And I know that it might seem right now that we're covering very general poker topics, which we are. We're not trying to be too specific, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to build from the general topics up to the specifics, and that way, if you're a beginning poker player, you can understand what we're talking about. And it might be a little slow for the advanced player. Obviously, you're already going to know what we're talking about, but we're trying to build a foundation right now. The next video we make is going to be on bankroll management. If you want to watch out for that, it should be coming out in in the next couple days. Yeah, you're gonna watch out for it. Keep your eyes peeled. And
Phil Hellmuth, if you're watching.
Yeah, and Phil Hellmuth, if you're watching this, I hate you. I don't care. I'm putting it in there. But
no,
yeah,
wait, we'll
I'll
do
see you
that
guys.
There's blood in the water. I would rather see a face in this weekend alone.